Okay, let's go. Oh, that spins. That's pretty fancy. Hello, boys, and welcome to everybody. Back to term two. I hope you've had a relaxing and good break, and hopefully you're ready to crack on with a new term of historical investigatingness. I know it's going to be a bit different than what you're used to, but hopefully I can still make it engaging and interesting for you. Okay, what I'm going to talk to you about today is first, I just want to give some overall feedback about how I thought you all went in assessment task 1, and then I'm going to talk to you briefly about what is the plan for term 2 and the work for today. Okay, so assessment feedback. I was really chuffed and impressed about how you boys went with your essays. I could see that you had put in a lot of hard work and effort and research. I was really quite happy, and I thought you all did really well. I would like to suggest, if you haven't considered it already, a lot of you have got the interest and the capacity to do really well in senior history studies. So if you like ancient or modern, I definitely would suggest to look at doing that next year. We can work on your essay writing, so don't be put off if I had put some comments down about how you've written your essay. We can work on that, but yeah, I was really impressed by the work that you boys did. I'm still waiting on a few people to get back to me in regards to emails. I'm chasing up a few of you, so if you can get back to me as soon as possible, that would be good too. If you've got any issues about your assessment, just send me, or your feedback, send me an email, or we can organise a Zoom to talk about that. Okay, you the best. Yes, I use a Drake GIF. I don't know if that makes me cool or lame. Okay, moving on. So, our new topic is called Rights and Freedoms, and we look mainly at Indigenous Australia and colonisation and invasion. So what I've done is I've put these little pen and paper icons down. So if you can write down the slide or do the activity on the slide in your book, that would be ideal. So I'm also using it to track your note taking, because I will mark your books at some stage in the near future. So please write down the title, Rights and Freedoms, Indigenous Australians, and you can do a little brainstorm activity about how Indigenous Australians were treated at the start of British colonisation. Because it's interesting, it does vary. It's not just all, the colonisers didn't come in and initially start killing, but there was a period of uncertainty and awkwardness between the two groups, and then frontier violence happened from there. Anyway, so I want you to write the answer to these two questions down. What is colonisation? What is the term? What does it mean? What do you think it is? And when did it occur in Australia? And more importantly, why did it occur in Australia? I think we all know the answer, but I want to make sure that you understand that the reasons for that. And there's always a big question about, were we settled or were we invaded? I'd like to hear your opinions on that too, but we'll do a Zoom and talk about that later. Okay, we've all heard the term terra nullius. Terra nullius is a term that means belonging to no one. So according to the 18th century law of the Britons, people of another land could legally take over the land that had no owner. So the British took this as a open invitation to go to lands that were considered not inhabited by those people that are civilized, and they could just take it without treaty or payment. So this denied the Indigenous people their pretty much their land, and we've seen the fallout of that over history. So that's the legal term and the legal reason that has led to our current predicament, terra nullius. So how did British colonisers view land ownership? So we've just talked about terra nullius, but imagine going to somebody else's house and going in and just saying, "Yep, this is mine now. You're not civil enough to own this, so I'm just going to park my tent here, and this is how it's going to be." But we're looking at a dual perspective. So the British saw it as these people are uncivilized. They're pretty much animals. We're going to take over and make this a profitable enterprise for Britain. Unlike the Indigenous people who thought they're crashing in my crib, they need to sort themselves out. So, what reasons did British colonisers provide to declare Australia terra nullius? I'd like you to research that if you can, and we'll have a bit of a chat about it later on the Zoom. So, Indigenous Australia, it's really important to understand that Australia was not just one big Indigenous nation. It comprised of hundreds of little or like states or territories of different Indigenous people with they all had their own different languages, their own different beliefs, while they were underpinning through the land's a similarity. They were all completely different, and it's really interesting to know now not many of these nations have survived, which is not good, purely through colonisation and the interactions between the British and the Indigenous. So we live on Kamilaroi land, which is a cluster of nations of different people. So where I'm from in Newcastle is a Wabikal. So we live, the Indigenous people came from swamps, and all their traditional medicines, their food, all their medical knowledge was based from an understanding of where they lived. But it didn't mean they were so secular that they only stayed in the areas they lived. They would go out and they would trade with and learn languages and interact with different nations of people. So it was pretty much like a flourishing, not like different states, and they would all interact and communicate. And yes, there would be conflict if someone entered someone else's nation, but it wasn't just, we are all one people, and it wasn't we were all isolated little nations. They interacted. So the effects of colonisation, if you can write this down in your books, that would be good. So we pretty much know that colonisation led to the obliteration of many of these Indigenous nations. It was difficult because not just through the loss of their food and water and sacred sites, and from the colonisers having more technological arms and weaponry, but mainly as well, it was also through medical. A lot of the more Indigenous people died through not having an immunity to the white man's diseases. So it was the inability to fight on that front, as well as fight the customs and laws of British. That was a big deal. As well as that, from 1800, we know that policies of protection began. So protection, isolation, assimilation, that segregated the Aboriginal people from society, and government policies were put in place to really dictate Indigenous lives. So, a little short response for you to do that I think would be good. Do a bit of research or your own knowledge. So, do you think the British colonisation of Australia was a settlement or invasion? Justify your answer. It can just be a couple of paragraphs, doesn't have to be too much. But I'd like you to really think about it, and I'd be interested to hear some people's responses when I get to talk to you. So that is it. What I will do is I'm going to make videos and put them on my YouTube channel because I'm totally cool like that. What I'm going to get you to do is make sure you check the hub frequently because I'll put the links there, and also come to the Zooms where we'll discuss and have discussions about the work that you cover in class. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope to see you all soon.